Sitcom Podcast.
Welcome in, you cheap beggars, to Discount, the bargain bin gaming podcast hosted by three people so small, if they were an empire, they wouldn't be the Roman one like we always think of.
We all think about it.
The second
We think about it every day.
They'd be the second or the first Haitian empire.
Cool.
The smallest empire.
I do like the Haitian Empire. It's a solid empire.
Is it?
I don't know.
Genuinely though, how often do you guys think about the Roman
I
Empire?
had this conversation before,
Never.
like once every 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really considered it past, secondary school.
It
Yeah.
depends how often I'm playing EU4. Because
right.
that is like a dedicated end game of that is to try and make the Roman Empire. So if I'm ever playing that, I go, I'm kind of close to making the Roman Empire now.
I'd probably think about the Holy Roman Empire more than the Roman Empire.
That's fair. Yeah, it's full of holes.
Yeah.
Like a cheese.
Like a cheese.
And that's why I think of that.
like a Swiss cheese that would probably be in the Holy Roman Empire.
Definitely. But yes, hello and welcome in. And I am busy thinking about all my companions and how I can romance them and which one I should romance first. Which one's mine? Oh, don't worry. I've got Muscle Mummy on my side. I like Karlach. My name's Josh. I'm plugging into Player 2.
Finding just the right angles, getting the best weapons, picking the perfect opportunity to strike, and then missing despite the 99%. Why do we have percentages if you're just gonna fucking miss? I'm Darren, hi. And fighting in real time like some kind of fucking loser.
I am the Pokemon in your party who just cannot help but hit itself in confusion. It's Gareth.
I like that. That's
Hello,
good.
yeah, there we are. That's all good. We're
Very
here.
nice,
We're
yeah.
here for Season 3.
We are.
First recording of Season 3.
Yeah.
We took last episode off. Give ourselves a nice relax, so we didn't
Yeah,
really
it's
reflect
good.
on September and
Who needs it?
Yeah.
PS Plus. So quickly to go through it. PS Plus.
Yeah.
Pretty
Very good.
if you like a specific thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we don't.
I quite like it.
Well, good for Dan.
I had a nice time. I played Unpacking.
New games. Lots of new games.
Lots
that
of new
we were
games.
actually playing. We could
Yeah.
have talked about Lies of P. We could talk about Armored Core. We could
Yeah.
have talked about Starfield.
We could have.
But we haven't.
No.
Yeah.
And we're here.
We never will.
I mean, in my defense, I sounded like a teenage boy with laryngitis for a good while there,
Yeah.
so I couldn't have done it.
And then it went away for a bit, and now it's back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, ah.
She sounds like a
anymore.
witch doctor, I'll
Yes.
have you know.
Oh my god.
But which doctor does she sound
Welcome
like?
fucking back and being bullied again.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we don't need to talk
This
about
will be
those.
my last episode with discount.
We don't need to talk about those games anyway, because I imagine they'll all appear in probably Game of the Year discussions.
They will do. I was going to say as well that, you say this is your last episode, but I want to congratulate us to making it to Season 3 with all the same hosts.
Yeah, we'll
Whoa.
see.
We made it. We made it to Season 3 with the
Yeah,
same hosts.
we might not finish season 3 with all 3 hosts, but we made it here.
Who will be killed first?
Josh.
Yes.
The computer that we record this on.
But yes, if you haven't been here before, this is Discount. We find bargain video games. We buy a random category that has been designed by our random genre generator, pulled up, Darren's then
Hi.
announced it. We buy a game for each other, trying to find bargain games that we think are good, based on the random categories that we have already decided for the past 2 seasons. I was going to say
Yeah.
past years, but yeah, it's past seasons. And we also do one where we reflect on things. But this is our fighting episode, our favourite fighty fun episode. Normally we look at Vault games, but we have no Vault game to put in the Vault because we cleaned that all up last time.
Yeah.
So instead of the Vault, what I'm going to talk about is our loser from last season was the delightful Karis.
Yes.
In I think every possible way that loser could be
A loser for every season.
a loser. Lovely, I like that.
Yeah.
But yes, because of that, she's going to be doing a cosplay stream as punishment.
Yeah.
It has been decided it's going to happen on Monday, October 30th.
Yeah.
Nice.
For 12 hours or however long it takes to beat Resi 8, whichever
Yeah.
happens first.
It's Resi 8 and the DLC as well that
Rose,
comes
was
after it, the Shadow Rose as well.
the old
so.
dulks.
The what?
Dulks.
The Dulks, yes, the Dulks.
The Dulk,
The Dulk.
yes. That
Yeah.
took me a minute. I was like, what? But yeah, we're going to be
The
going
Dulk.
I thought-
right the way through Resi 8.
I thought you were trying to make a noise of like one of the mold creatures being
Yeah, me
killed.
That
Ew.
implies I've played the game.
But yeah, so you're going to play through all of that dressed as Lady D.
Yeah.
Or how you actually say her name.
Dimitrescu.
There we are.
Cool.
I wasn't going to guess it. No. I couldn't remember. But yeah, so come along, we're on Twitch for
Yeah,
that.
it says it's a punishment, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. So.
For hearing that, bet you're wishing I lost.
Darren would have been dressed exactly the same.
Correct.
I would have given you
I would
my
have taken the
cosplay happily.
Could we imagine we go, yeah, Darren's going to play the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 3 dressed as Sora in one stream.
No, I would have dressed as Donald Duck, complete with no bottoms.
And one of the things would be like, stretch, and you have to stand up and fully stretch.
Oh my God.
Pulling it.
Yep.
Fully going. But yeah, we're not doing that, but don't worry. That's fine. Should we actually jump into the actual genre?
I think it would be for the best if we did.
So let's jump into the genre and then start discussing what it is, and what we thought about buying.
Woo.
So we did pull a genre at the end of the last season.
We did.
From the random genre generator. And what was that a genre that was picked, Darren?
It was turn-based.
And can you explain what turn-based is, Darren?
It's something based on turns.
Perfect. Karis, do you want to try and expand on that?
It involves
Why?
combat where you have to go on a turn-based capacity.
I mean,
I don't see why that's different to what I said.
realistically, that's what we were looking at. We were looking at games which have turn-based systems, whether that be, strategy games, whether it just be like fighting games within it, or if Darren had his own way, it'd be racing games.
Because you turn.
Driving circles.
The tracks are turn-based. Unless it's a drag race, they are
This is taking
turn-based.
me right back to weird mechanic.
I was not wrong.
You weren't. It was a weird mechanic.
It was.
Yeah. turn-based. Should we announce what games we had first, as we normally do? Say what we received, and we'll think about the games that could have been, would have been,
should have
all
been.
that sort of thing. Who received their game first?
Excellent question.
I think Darren, you received yours first.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
So, yeah, Darren, because I was buying. It's likely.
Yeah.
If we're going by rule of thumb, Josh buys first, Darren buys last.
Correct.
Keris is a wild card.
Yeah.
And we never know when she's going to buy it. Normally, actually, Keris sometimes buys after Darren, but the shipping time is better.
Yeah.
I
was upset about that one.
Keep a little mystery,
So, Darren, what did you receive for turn-based games?
My game in question for turn-based games was Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, the Link
platform?
Evolution version for the Nintendo Switch, which is nice.
I spiced things up with my
Yeah.
buying a Switch game.
I'll be honest, we here on this podcast have a mixed track record on Switch purchases.
Yep.
I think we bought 3 in total.
We bought Tears of the King. No, we bought 4. Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, 4. Breath of the Wild is what you mean.
Sorry, Breath of the Wild. We
Pokemon
bought
Mystery Dungeon.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. We've bought this, and we've also bought something to do with death.
Flipping Death.
Flipping Death.
Yeah.
We bought 4 Switch games so far.
Everyone's favourite worst game from the episode by maybe the farthest distance a game has been last.
Yeah. It didn't think I'm close in any of the categories. No. But yes, so you got that. What is the game then?
If you have seen the popular anime/cartoon series, depending on how you define them, Yu-Gi-Oh!, then you have played this game. It is basically a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling game which takes you through the plot of the 5 main Yu-Gi-Ohs. I think there's the base one, GX, 5Ds, Zexal, and something else. Arc V, maybe. That sounds right.
I was lost after the first Yu-Gi-Oh! I only thought there was one.
I thought there was one Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought Yu-Gi-Oh! was the guy.
Yugi was.
Yugi is the guy.
Oh, okay,
But-
all right.
And he goes, oh.
Oh my god.
But
But his name is Yugi. That's his name.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you basically just go through them and you do all of the major duels from the show.
Yeah.
As they play out, you can do each one as either the deck that they would have had in the episode, or your own custom one that you can build up. Like every time you beat someone in the story, you get like their like signature card, and you get a pack based on there, and you build up your own decks. But yeah, you just basically go through and you do duel after duel after duel as it went through in the show. To your heart's content, really. There's, I think, multiplayer. I don't know. I don't have any Yu-Gi-Oh friends.
You don't have any Yu-Gi-Oh friends. Or you don't have any friends who have the Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, actually, I think we've got a couple on the PlayStation who have it.
Or like on the PC or something, maybe.
But yeah,
but
Switch
not
is
Switch.
not so much.
No.
Although it feels like the ideal one to pretend you you can like strap it to your arm.
Yeah.
And pretend you have an actual deck.
Oh, you say that like I didn't have one of those.
You actually have one of
Yeah,
those?
I did. It's fucking cool.
My cousin had one of those.
Yeah.
Which cousin was that?
Geraint.
Oh, not the one
Not
who
the-
ran the chicken.
Jesus Christ!
He took away its last life points, yeah.
Listen.
Anyway, that's
It was a trap card. He didn't realise.
fucking mirror forced it. That's all I'll say on Yu-Gi-Oh for now.
For now,
Save some for entertainment.
I think the second game to be
I
released-
literally can't believe you just said this on this fucking podcast.
Oh well, what are they gonna do?
Oh my fucking...
Well,
Speaking of drowning,
I got the second game.
I don't know if it's relevant.
It's not relevant. I received the second game. I got it from Keris. Keris purchased this one, and she bought me Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Nice.
Yakuza, maybe not the first game you think of when you think of turn-based, because
Nope.
it's historically not a turn-based game.
Correct.
But Yakuza Like a Dragon is a turn-based RPG game
It is.
made by the standard sort of Ryuga Gotoku studio. They've just gone down a different route with this one. Very different route. This is a complete spin-off
Yep.
from the original one. We aren't even following the normal main character of Kiryu.
Kiryu.
I should have gone with his first name, Kazuma, because, last name Kazuma, because it's easier to say. We follow someone entirely different. We follow Ichiban Kasuga instead.
Yeah.
And we don't even take place in the normal location. We start out in the normal location
do.
for it. We go, and then we leave Tokyo entirely. And this feels like the first game where we're not sort of... I know there's Ishin Like a Dragon, which is not in the same place, and that was... It sort of is, but isn't.
And I think there's times in the other ones where you like may go somewhere else, but
Right.
like the majority of the game would still be based in.
Whilst this one doesn't take place there at all. But yes, it's...
Annoyed myself. Like, fucking Kamurocho. That's what it's called.
Yes, it is
I
Kamurocho.
forgot it. I could only think of Sotenbori, which is the other one.
Yeah, it's normally... Because it's normally recreation of, what's it, Kabukicho? And they called it Kamurocho normally, but this
Yeah.
takes place in Yokohama district of
That's right.
Isakaki
Jincho,
That's
I think it is, yeah.
Which is in Osaka. So they go to Osaka instead. Very different to the other ones, but also pretty much the same sort of bombastic, crazy
Same vibes.
with Yakuza games. You are someone who has done something wrong in the Yakuza, but it's because you've taken... I think in this one it's your mentor
Yeah.
is accused of a murder he claims he hasn't done, and you agree to take the blame for it. So you go to jail in 2001, and that's sort of like the opening thing, and then 18 years later you're released, and you then have to try and get yourself back up and find out that the entire clan has dissolved, but it's all dissolved because your former leader, Awasaka, I think his name is.
Fucking
I think
who
his
knows?
name's Arakawa, that's it.
Cool.
Arakawa has actually double-crossed the Tojos to the Omis, and now he's a captain within the Omis. You go to confront him, you get shot, you are unwell, you then get helped by a homeless man,
Yeah.
and then you start finding your way back on your feet to try and take over and resolve this injustice that has befallen you.
Is it Nanba, the homeless man?
I believe it's Namba.
I love Nanba.
is his
He's
name.
great.
It's Namba. Yeah,
He's
it's-
great.
Yeah, and he is good. He's like the best sort of side character in that. But yeah, it's quite different. You do have turn-based combat. You do have party building. But as always, you also have your own businesses. You also get jobs in this one you
Yeah.
can take. And it's just you going on a delightful, weird, wacky romp that they try to make serious, but it clearly isn't serious.
Not in the
as
slightest.
you try to resolve the issues of Yakuza clans. And that's pretty much the game. I'm not going to sort of talk about how enjoyment and stuff for it right now, but that is roughly what happens.
Very cool.
But yes, should we go into the last game that was received?
Yeah, I wonder who bought that
Yes.
Bought by Darren.
one. Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I got Dragon Quest 11, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Echoes of an Elusive Age.
Love some alliteration.
Really interesting because I have never ever played a Dragon Quest game before.
I have never played Dragon. I've played Dragon Quest Builders, but I've never played an actual Dragon
I
Quest.
played, I want to say 9 is on the
Yeah.
DS. That is a very good game.
Massive, that game.
It's fucking huge, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely game.
So yeah, Dragon Quest is a JRPG. With just trying to kind of explain it in kind of short terms, basically it follows a protagonist who doesn't really have a name. You get to set their name, so obviously mine is Karis, which I wouldn't have chosen if I knew he was a boy. So basically the game is set in a place called Erdrea, and it begins as the kingdom of Dundrasil, hell of a mouthful, is basically invaded and destroyed by an army of monsters, and us as the protagonist, Karis, is
how weird, the protagonist is named as you.
I know. A Welsh name in a Japanese game.
God, what a lucky
It
purchase.
does happen, but normally they end up calling you Cerise by mistake.
Cerise, yes, yeah. And basically we're a baby during the attack. We survive the attack quite miraculously, and we're found floating down a river by an old man called Chalky in the village of Cobblestone.
That sounds like a slur, doesn't it? Chalky.
We're adopted by Chalky's daughter, Amber.
It really does.
We're adopted by his daughter Amber. We're raised in the village, and basically after kind of like this coming of age ceremony that he does with this woman who, it's pretty obvious we're going to end up together. Everybody's kind of rooting for us to be together because we were born on the same day and we've grown up together and everything.
You're twins.
We're not twins. But it reveals the
Small
truth.
village.
Yeah.
It reveals the truth about his birth, and we realise that he is the reincarnation of this thing called the Luminary, and he's sent to meet King Carnelian, who immediately believes that he is a kind of like evil being.
That's pretty funny.
That sounds great.
And throws him in a dungeon.
Yep.
And then it goes on from there, and I won't spoil the rest for you.
You start in prison.
So is it basically you are there to save some sort of... Well, it's Dragon Quest.
Save the world, yeah.
Save the world.
It's a JRPG. Mm-hmm. You are some sort of nobody who actually isn't a nobody who's there to save the world.
It becomes very obvious early on, very early on, in the first 5 minutes, that basically the monsters are coming back.
Right.
And it's implied so far that your purpose there is to make sure that, you know.
Perfect.
I like how you ended that with you get thrown in in prison in the dungeon, and then it goes from there, because it made it sound like a one-page you get for a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
You were born in this village and you were raised up and sort of treated as something special, and then you went to visit the king and he threw you in prison, and in there were 4 other people.
Yeah.
You want to describe yourself?
So I'm very we don't care what you're wearing. What do you look like?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just wearing brown. Okay, great.
That's all you need to know.
All you need to know. But yeah, so we got some variety in turn-based games. All are JRPGs, but they're not really, because yours, Darren, wasn't really a JRPG. It is Japanese, but
They're all
it's
Japanese
just J.
games.
It's just a J.
It's just J.
It's a J card game.
Yes.
What it is. But yeah, so what are the games were people thinking about? Because obviously, I think those are all pretty solid games, but I imagine people had some other ideas.
Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon.
I desperately tried to buy Karis a Pokemon game. They're all fucking expensive.
Yep.
The only ones I could buy for a reasonable price were the ones that aren't as good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw Karis blindly into fucking Diamond.
Yeah.
It's a terrible time.
It's weird. Pokemon is like one of those. I think if I was buying for Karis again, I mean, it's an easy out when you see
Yeah.
Karis. So, turn-based Pokemon. Let's throw a Pokemon game.
I love Pokemon. I actually thought about Pokemon as well, but similar things. It was like it's just hard to find. Like at one point, I was thinking about maybe like going back to like maybe Black and White or X and Y and stuff like that. But
That's all DS as well.
It's all DS, and it's all like. They are expensive.
Yeah,
they are expensive. Like
Nintendo
I wouldn't
games.
call them bargain games at all.
The strongest currency on the planet.
I think XCOM is one of those ones that really popped into my mind. Like, do I try and buy XCOM? But I thought I'm not that cruel. I'm not going to buy XCOM for Darren to play.
I think I was pretty sold on Yakuza straight away because, again, on the level that Pokemon is an easy sell for me, I know Yakuza is an easy sell for you as well.
I mean, yeah, I like the Yakuza games. I've only really completed one of them, and I always enjoy the games to play. But they are a lot of them are slot. There's so much to them. But yeah, I really like a Yakuza game.
I also looked at Mario Rabbids. It's like an interesting turn-based.
Nintendo again.
Yeah, and I started looking at Final Fantasy, but it felt a bit like trying to find the introductory route to send Final Fantasy to Keras. Felt like a cursed fucking thing to do.
You've already sent me a Final Fantasy.
I have, yeah. And that was probably the least Final Fantasy of the Final Fantasies.
Yeah, it was fun though.
Funny enough, not turn-based, that one.
Funny enough, I was also looking at Final Fantasy for you. As I go specifically, I was going to do 10. But I already know we've already bought 10 and 10 too. I thought it's too close. I looked at 8 for a long time. Darkest Dungeon was the one I really tried to get you. I almost got a copy of it on Switch, but he wasn't willing to budge on price. Or don't offer me. Don't do best offer. Don't say best offer if you're not willing to drop your price.
Also, I had one that I was going to buy for I'll be honest, a rude reason. I looked at buying Inscription because the best part of Inscription is the first chapter, and I didn't think you'd get past it.
What's the first chapter?
It's like a really cool, like, dark card game where you're basically trading in, like, animals.
Oh.
And then when they die, you get, like, their bones and their blood that you use to summon the other ones. And that's the best bit of the game. And I assumed you'd play a bunch of that and get stuck there.
Yeah.
And then you'd just have a perfect image of the game because you don't have it ruined by the rest of it.
It's exactly the right thing to do. Stop after that bit.
No, the third bit's fine. The second bit's really not good.
So the second bit I can't get through. It's a slog.
Yeah.
I did also think of like Civ games and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I thought...
I do like Civ.
I was like, I don't really want to put you in a Civ game, Civilization.
On console.
On console. Just because they don't work great.
I get that.
But yeah, there were a lot of options. I thought about big tactical games. I thought just going for something a bit different, which is why I ended up with Yu-Gi-Oh, which is... Yeah. I thought I could go turn-based JRPG, but let's go for something slightly different.
Yeah.
Hence Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, so that's the games we've got. Now, we need to get into the actual episode and work out who's the best game. Work out which is the most accurate, best value for money, most entertaining, and heard the play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So should we get into fighting?
Fight.
Round 1, fight!
Wasn't feeling confident to try.
No, there was not even an attempt there for you, Darren.
I got to spend the first couple of weeks getting the feel for it. And then I've got to fuck it up for 7 weeks. And then I'll get it.
It's also like, it's no different to... We haven't had a real break in the recordings. It just feels like a lot longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't been in before, what we do now is we're going to fight over 4 categories to see who's going to win this episode with their turn-based game. 3 points go to the person who purchased it, and 1 point goes to the person who played it, based on the categories. Let's get into the first one, which is most accurate.
Woo!
Who had the most accurate turn-based game? This is going to be... Anyone want to go first? I'll jump in.
Go for it.
So Yakuza is a turn-based game. It is turn-based combat, which is a massive change away from what it was before. You do fight, you do build a party, you do take it in turns to fight. However, there are those little bits where you can power up by quick timing events, which I don't think takes away from the idea of what a turn-based game is.
Yeah.
It just adds a little bit to it. Early on in it, when you're like a single fighter, I do think it's not quite as strict as other turn-based.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them is like, you hit, now I hit, or you see in the top corner, like, it's
who's next.
Yeah.
There's not really a turn track order early on. It does make it a bit clearer as the game progresses, but not so much. But it is very much a turn-based game. What's fun about this is, because it's going to go back to someone else's game, is that the reason this is a turn-based game is...
I was going to bring this up.
Is that he mentions that he has so the main character mentions that he has a massive love for the game Dragon Quest, and I think he's talking about Dragon Quest 1.
Oh my god.
Yeah. A massive love for Dragon
I'd
Quest
forgotten
1.
about this until he was talking about the game, and I went, oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And there's a whole joke, well, you're a nerd, you don't want to go out and play, you want to stay home, you must be a virgin. Like, they go, like, this is a weird game, like one of the first bits of dialogue that you're chasing after someone, he calls him a cum stain.
What's weird about that?
Oh, fair enough, but his friend is like...
Do you not get called a cum stain on a regular basis?
Not normally after I'm chasing someone down a street really rigidly, but yes.
That's the only time I ever get called it.
Is it? Okay.
I get called it like 3 or 4 times a day.
That's fair.
I mean, that's your profession.
Josh, treat your woman better.
It's her profession. But yeah, so you are doing... He does say he loves that, and they make a joke out of him for playing Dragon Quest, and then we go into a combat situation where we turn into turn-based because of Dragon Quest. This is not to talk this out of not being a turn-based game. It's obviously inspired by not the first to do it, but one of the first series to make turn-based as widely popularised as
Yes.
it is. But yeah, very much a turn-based game. It's hard to argue it's not.
Yeah. I can go next because mine's going to be really short and sweet, if I'm honest. There is literally no reason to not call this a turn-based game because it is a turn-based game. All of the combat is turn-based. You attack or you defend, and then another person attacks or defends, or like it is what it says on the tin.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine it's got the same sort of thing that I have, which is like you've got guard, defend,
Yeah.
attack, where you've got your standard attack, you've got your special attacks. Which
Yeah,
are like
so you've got your
different
spells, and
Or-
that's literally it. Yeah.
options. Or use item, or
Yeah.
probably flee.
Yeah.
Because all of
Yeah.
them have a flee.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much same as probably
Pokemon.
Pokemon, yes.
Yeah.
The standard.
The only one that's person who's probably going to have a slightly different take on their turn base is probably Darren.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot and argue in favor of Yu-Gi-Oh. Because like it's a card game, which means it's turn-based. But and I promise this will come around negatively later. Your games do feature other gameplay elements.
Yes.
This is literally just the card game.
Oh my god,
Which is a turn-based format. There is nothing to do in this game except take turns in a card game.
Did you
and
guys-
you can make like the argument that there are certain like cards and effects in play that means you are often acting out of turn,
Yeah.
which means like the turn-based format of it begins to melt a little bit. But there's no other gameplay.
But it's the same as like a board game, really, in that respect. You go, yeah, I'm out of turn, but that's because of a turn.
Did you guys ever play really old school now? So this is back on like Game Boy
probably
Color,
not, no.
Like the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Game Boy. Is it like that, or it's literally just?
It's the game.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
It's the card game.
The only thing I'll argue for the Yakuza Like a Dragon, to try and give it some more kudos, although I think Yu-Gi-Oh is going to take this point, is there are racing missions within this, which is driving and turning.
Yeah.
Which,
Hey!
The multiple forms of
On
turn.
that note, you get to drive a horse in mine, okay? You get to ride a horse in mine,
yeah, it should-
which
you
not
should drive
only,
to ride.
which but please don't interrupt me. Thank
Sorry.
you. I'm making a very valid and important point. You drive a horse, which not only is more fun than driving a car because it's a horse and it's an animal and it's a beautiful thing. You do turn more in a horse.
In a horse.
On a horse. Not in a horse.
No.
In a horse.
Maybe you do turn more in a horse. I don't
Maybe.
know, but on a horse.
I've never personally been in a horse, so maybe I would turn more. I don't know. Honestly.
Listen, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to tell you that on a horse you make a shitload of turns.
So
fair.
you have go-kart racing in this, and I think you have another form of racing where you're trying to avoid a bin truck.
You have the can collecting game.
Yeah,
That game's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are in a go-kart in that as well. I think you're in a slightly different vehicle. Aren't you?
You're in like a
I'm trying to remember what it was.
Let me ask you a very serious question, Josh, quickly. Do you get to ride a horse in Yakuza?
God, I wish.
I think wouldn't.
Imagine.
Well, then we fucking are then.
That'd be so
Okay.
fucking cool.
But you know, racing. Yeah. But regardless, neither of these matter. No. I mean, I'm going to say Yu-Gi-Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
The only other argument I would make is the argument that we've brought up a couple times before, where you argue like it is the definitive article of the thing.
Yeah.
In that like Dragon Quest was one of the like originators of the turn-based format, and it was the one that really made it a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like even you have games like Final Fantasy now where it got to where they were basically aping the success of Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest and like Chrono Trigger and that sort of like those were
I mean, I think these are well before Chrono Trigger.
the Dragon Quest ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying this. I don't know. So I'm going to check it out now.
I think Dragon Quest like crawls back into the mid to late 80s somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Dragon Quest is fucking
80s? Wow.
I'm looking it up now. When the first Chrono.
This makes me feel a little like, do you know what I
Because
thought?
Chrono Trigger's like 92, I think.
95.
It's
somewhere around
nice.
there, 90s. Yeah.
This is so off topic. I'm so sorry because it's just really nice to hear that something is older than me because
I don't have to worry about that.
Literally was scrolling through TikTok today and it
Yeah.
was like this horrible woman who was like, be grateful that you were born in this era because you get this and you get that, and vodka Red Bulls were invented in 1998, and I was like, I'm 7 years older than a fucking vodka Red Bull.
Dragon Quest 1986. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
like one of the originators.
Thank God for that, because
There,
I was going to say, because it's NES era. It's
yeah,
the
there's a
original
whole
Dragon
argument
Quest.
we could make for that, but realistically,
It has other gameplay.
it has other gameplay. Whilst
Yeah.
there is no other option but
No.
to play on a
Yeah.
turn.
You just play a turn-based card game
The only
until
way-
you don't want to.
Only way I could have done it if there was like a bird watching game where you could only see turns.
Well,
Yeah.
Like that was it.
all I'm saying is, I think it was between me and Darren just basis on the horse. So
So you're saying all that is your points would never have come to Yakuza because that's you who'd be getting points.
yes.
Okay, but
I'm okay with that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's fine. But I'm voting for Yakuza.
Much like the podcast as a whole, I'm okay with second.
So the first point.
I forgot how the podcast works. I was like, well, I'm going to vote for Dragon Quest because that's like not how it works.
That's fine. First points of the season go to Josh.
Josh.
This is why I lost last year.
So yeah, a point for me for most accurate.
Yep.
Up next though, our least favourite category, because it becomes super analytical,
Yeah.
and we try and argue it, is
I'm sorry, did you say least favourite?
Oh, is it your favourite?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh yeah, Mr.
The numbers.
Yeah, Number girl.
I can't read these.
We'll look at value for money. We'll just do it in the order the games arrived in, which
Yep.
was Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first game to arrive. Bought it for the whole price of £12.75.
Nice.
The main story takes 61 hours. Mains and sides 89 hours, and completionist 139 hours. But we'll
Yeah,
look at
it's a lot of game.
main and sides is sort of what we're normally looking
Yeah,
at. Second game to arrive was Yakuza Like a Dragon, which was how much, Karis?
I can't remember.
£13.
Nice.
Main story 45 hours. Mains and sides 67 hours.
Yeah.
Completionist 102 hours. So a little bit more expensive, a little less.
Yeah,
content.
it's a smoother game than most Yakuzas. It was nice for that. I appreciate it.
I genuinely think they've done a really. I mean, I'll talk about it in a second. I think they've done such a good job in doing something different with this, and it actually feeling attainable rather than the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Up last is Dragon Quest XI.
Up the arse is Dragon Quest.
It's Dragon Quest.
Come on, really bad at your bingo calls, mate.
So glad we locked eyes at each other.
Number 11. Dragon Quest.
I knew. It
Oh,
was
God.
the way you said it, like a fucking bingo card. The answer is Dragon
Like,
Quest.
I get it. You could work out to say up next or up last and, like, blended them. But it very much, game box up the arse.
But yes, as the bingo calls it, up the arse, number 11.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest.
How much did you spend on Dragon
I
Quest?
spent £8.42.
£8.42, so a good bit cheaper than the others. Main story is 56.5 hours. Mains and size 87.5 hours. Completionist 122.
Nice.
So the longest is Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
but the cheapest is Dragon Quest. And to be honest, the difference between Yu-Gi-Oh and Dragon Quest things is a matter of like 90 minutes,
Yeah.
and you got a full
£4
pound
difference.
I would argue on Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
one, it's Switch, so that's pretty good value.
Cool.
But also, you got some special presents in the Yu-Gi-Oh.
I did get some special presents in the Yu-Gi-Oh box, yeah. The guy sent me Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which was very nice. Kara somehow thinks Yu-Gi-Oh cards are the funniest fucking things in the world.
It's just, I don't want to put the
Karis is still laughing about...
special presents in the same category as up the arse.
I was going to say, Karis is still laughing at the implied anal of a game box.
Everything will be implied anal.
I mean, I'm not being funny. Have you seen the wonky squiff eyes on these Dragon Quest characters?
Oh my
Maybe it's
God.
what's
Great.
happening.
I thought he was going to die. He took 2 minutes
They're
to look
really
at the
funny.
dog, and he was like, look at this
dog-
squiffy eye.
The dog was like cross-eyed waggling away. I was like, what is wrong with this thing? And now I know.
But yes, I got some fun Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the box.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they are?
They were Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and the 3 God cards.
Isn't Blue Eyes White Dragon supposed to be like really like, ooh, special?
It's a good card.
was
It
great.
was special in the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was
right.
the idea that there were only ever 4 of them in existence. And Kaiba, who's dressed like a PS5.
I thought that Blue Eyes White Dragon was kind of like finding like a shiny Charizard.
No.
So when you got when you're buying cards at the beginning, there were like 2 sort of starter deck boxes. One which was for Kaiba, as you said, wasn't it? And that would have Blue Eyes White Dragon definitely in it because you essentially were buying his deck, and then you get boosters afterwards to expand.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, in the context of the show, there are only ever 4 in existence, and the big thing is he had 3 of them, and he found the last one and destroyed it.
Yeah.
So he would have the only ones that ever existed.
Interesting.
But in the real world, they're fairly common,
This is really, again,
and it's a fine card. It's okay.
it's not to do with the games, but did you guys ever
Get it up the ass.
What, a Blue Eyes like fold it in half?
Destroy it!
There's only 4 of them in existence, they're all up my ass.
Polymerization, 1, 2, 3, and you shit out the fusion card.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was gonna ask you. Did you guys ever get like a card in a game, like mine was Pokemon, that you were like really excited for, that you remember getting? Because I definitely do. I was so excited when I got it.
Mine was like a nothing card, it just looked cool.
Oh, right, okay.
Mine was when Gold and Silver had just come out.
Yeah.
And they added like the 2 new types. They had the Steel and the Dark. And the Dark energy cards were just like full black with like the symbol kind of embossed into it. And I had like a shiny one of those.
Oh!
That was a fucking lovely card.
Oh my god, I remember opening a pack of cards, because I always got a new pack of cards when we went to Cardiff, me and my parents, and opening it in a restaurant and trying to keep my shit together because the
I
food...
guarantee you did not keep.
Oh, I did keep my shit together. I do remember telling my dad about it very excitedly and him looking at me like, okay, yeah. It was a shiny Articuno.
Nice.
And oh my god, I was sweating. I was like hyperventilating. I was like shaking.
No, so I don't remember getting good pulls. I just remember organising awful trades that only benefited me, so I got all the cool cards.
Yeah.
And then you grew up to engage in fantasy football.
Yeah, and then,
Who would have known Josh was a scammer?
I used to do cross trades between different games. So I was trading things from Yu-Gi-Oh cards because Yu-Gi-Oh was the hot commodity, and I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I didn't care about and knew they would fall apart, but Pokemon was going to be worse. So I was doing stuff across. I was giving them Magic the Gathering. I was doing all sorts.
Honestly, I would have been the person on the other side of that trade.
Yeah.
Because I had a bunch of Pokemon cards I didn't give much of a shit about, but I fucking loved Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, yeah, fucking have them, but...
So going back
Sorry,
to this,
I derailed that, but...
The only way that so at the moment, realistically, Dragon Quest is to win this. The only thing I argue is that you got some cool cards, but I have no idea what their worth is.
I don't think they're worth too much. And my argument...
Are they worth more than £4?
Well, I was going to give my argument against Yu-Gi-Oh now.
Can you fit them?
If you fold them all up, probably, yeah. My argument against Yu-Gi-Oh is it probably does have that much time. Mm-hmm. It is probably the most your mileage may vary game I've ever encountered in my life. You're playing it to experience the plot of the show you watched.
Yeah.
And as you both said, once you get past the first one, you got no idea, and that's 1/5 of the game.
Yeah.
So you then have the other 4/5 where you're like, And I'll play it. I have a lot of attachment to the first 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll try the rest. I know one of them is heavily based around dueling on motorbikes, and I think that's kind of cool.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Why? I don't know.
It's Road Rash.
Yeah, basically, but Yu-Gi-Oh. And it is all authoritarian state fighting back against the man.
Awesome.
But Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, it is very much there is that much game in it, technically.
Yeah.
But your mileage massively will vary on what you like.
Don't get me wrong. I think going for a completionist 139 hours on that would sound absolutely hell. But to complete it 61 hours, I feel like if you're playing the game and you're enjoying it, you'd put
that much time in.
Easily put that time in.
And I also think it's a nice way to experience maybe those other shows of it you hadn't watched.
Imagine if you had a Dragon Ball game like that where you didn't have to scream at each other for 16 hours each episode.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest.
It's called Tenkaichi, yeah.
If they released another Pokemon trading card game, I'd play the shit out of that. I'm not even kidding. I
never knew how to play it.
Neither did I.
I loved it.
I've always said I would collect Pokemon cards, but I don't have the bank balance for that.
No, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
I did look into it once to start
Same.
again, and yeah.
I look into it once a month.
Yeah.
Especially now I'm seeing people pull them on like Twitch and stuff.
I watch fucking YouTube videos all the time of one guy in particular pulling Pokemon cards. And I'm like, fucking, I want this.
Yeah.
I imagine that was your life. Anyway, so who are we going to give this to? Are we going to go for the game that deserves to win it through being the cheapest and having the second most volume? Or the game that almost could win it, but depending on how much cards are worth?
It's a Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest.
No, I feel.
I mean, I could try it. Yeah, I think Dragon Quest.
I partly want to see where you'd go with it as like an additional angle to the argument.
To be fair,
but-
we didn't get the great anal joke out of Yu-Gi-Oh that we got out of Dragon Quest.
See, the only way I would argue is if you got like the cards that he sent you, which aren't meant to be part of it. I was very, very cool that he sent it.
Yeah.
If their value was like £6, but realistically, you're not selling six
No.
cards for £6. They're just like nice little bits to have in
They
there.
also can't
Yeah.
be used to duel, so what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true. They're just there for you
They
to
look
put the
cool.
frame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I will.
Who knows?
I'll do like card in like a hexagon shape and then put the cartridge in the middle and put it in like a frame.
Lovely.
Oh,
Maybe
I
really
love
never play it
that.
again.
Yes.
Well, it'll be after I stream it, but yes.
It'd be like the Switch equivalent of when you platinum a game and you delete it off your hard drive. That I finish playing it and I frame it. And I'm like, fuck it, get away from me.
Sounds brilliant. So, second point goes to Darren
Whoa.
with Dragon Quest.
Yay, me.
So up next is entertainment.
Entertainment.
Who wants to go first here? Go on, Darren, because you're going to say this isn't entertaining.
It's entertaining. It's cool. As I said, you go through, and if you have an attachment to the show, you will get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
There's one really cool feature I wasn't expecting, where it has what they call reverse duels.
Okay.
So every time you beat a duel, you can then play it again as like the villain of the piece.
Okay.
Oh, that's fun.
So
really
like,
cool.
I tried one of them and got my ass handed to me twice.
By
I was like,
Yugi.
yeah, exactly, by Yugi, because this is the main problem I have with this game. Is just the Yu-Gi-Oh card game itself. Is a card game built around stalling and bullshit, where based on like the hand that you get and the cards that you manage to see, there may be a strategy inherent into that deck that you will just never encounter.
Right.
Yeah.
That you then encounter when you hand it to the CPU and they find it, and you sit there watching them play the game with themselves for 2 minutes. Like, the example in question is, in that first one, the entire gimmick is you are Yugi trying to summon Exodia, which means you just need to get all 5 pieces into your hand. And the way you're meant to do that is there's a lot of cards in this deck that are based around, like, drawing more cards and keeping more cards going. And then there's a couple, I think, Swords of Revealing Light as well, which means you can't be attacked for 3 turns.
Right,
So you can
okay.
just keep building shit up. I did okay with it. I had to sort of sack a couple Swords of Revealing Lights and just about got there. I then did the reverse version and learned that there is a card that exists in that deck that I never encountered. And the entire gimmick of it is basically if you draw a card and it's a normal monster, you can draw another card.
Right.
The idea being that the 4 limbs, the 2 arms and the 2 legs of Exodia, are normal cards. So if you draw one, you can then draw another card.
Yeah.
What I learned over the course of this duel is that fucker has 3 of those.
And they all showed up for him.
Yep, he played all 3 of them, and I was
Yeah.
sat there for, I think, literally between 90 seconds and 2 minutes in real time, where he drew a card, it was a normal monster. He drew 3 more, one of those is a normal monster. So he drew 3 more, one of those is a normal monster. So he drew 3 more. But it doesn't go that smoothly. It goes like, he draws the card, it shows the card activating on the field, it flips the card in the hand, shows a normal monster, it draws another one. It does that twice more.
Right.
Then, of course, one of those he drew is a normal monster. So the first card pops up on the screen. It shows the normal monster he played.
Right.
I sat there for like 2 minutes like,
Bloody
can I
hell.
fucking play the game?
Just showing you cards. Like,
Yeah.
Hey.
It doesn't help that it's the Switch, so it's a little lower on the performance side.
Yeah.
So that game does like to fucking hang for a few seconds every time a turn starts while they're thinking.
I think that's quite fun that they've done this different. And it's also good for if you're playing the game, you like learn more about it. So I suppose.
Yeah.
But I do like it because it's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Like, that's my only...
That's part of the reason I got it. Because
It's-
I'm sat
yeah.
and something
Yeah.
like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's
It's-
like selling Pokemon to Garrus.
Yeah.
It's the only real complaint I have about it is that it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! I wish there was anything else to it. Like, even you have the older ones, like a popular one, popular, air quotes, is Forbidden Memories back on the PS1.
Right.
And the reason people like it is because the game came out before they knew what the rules of the card game were, so they just made it up. And it's a lot of fun because it makes no sense. That one's of the concept of like, there's a card called Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, which you get by combining 2 Thunder Dragons. That bit makes sense.
Yeah.
You summon Thunder Dragon by combining a monster vaguely associated with thunder and a dragon.
Oh.
It makes like straight line sense,
Yeah.
but it also has a really weird internal consistency on what qualifies as a dragon.
Yeah.
Right,
So you're
okay.
like, fuck it, just work.
This gecko and a lightning. lightning.
But that at least had like a world map sort of function.
Yeah.
And it had a card shop you could go. To be fair, this has a card shop, but it's just a menu with packs.
So,
that
yeah.
had like a shop you could go into. And it had a weird plot. It was set in like ancient Egypt.
Okay.
And you were in the modern day and you were sent back in time to ancient Egypt or something like
Find
that.
Exodia himself.
It was like to defeat the pharaoh in place, and they
Yeah.
were like all the people in the show, but in their ancient Egyptian forms. And then you have the other forms of the game. There's like real-time strategy ones. There's all sorts of things, which all boil down to the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem I have with this is like it's fun in very short bursts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to break up
You
the
couldn't play it for
fucking
hours,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
like-
I imagine it's one of those games that you could, so maybe not the same, but you know, like your theme hospital where you can have it on. So like if you're watching a film or something like watching a TV show, you could be just tapping away
Yeah.
at this. at
Like the
bottom.
podcast game I would most align with actually is Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah.
Like you load it up, you play a couple duels, you close it down.
It's a
You're
typical
like,
Nintendo feeling game then, is what
yeah.
I'm trying to say.
There was one other thing I did want to bring up, which I think is a expected problem, but one that was still like a bit
yeah.
annoying. And I think it only applies to this bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they, again, didn't quite know what the rules were. So there's a lot of stuff in the first series where they're just fucking making it up as they go.
Yeah.
Like a very famous one is when he's fighting Panic, who has the Castle of Illusions, and it like obscures the whole field. And the way he beats it is he puts fucking Guy of the Night into a catapult turtle and fires it to destroy the ring to make the castle drop. It of course can't do that because you have to play the deck.
Yeah.
But it gives you like the relevant deck, so that in theory that is what's happening,
Right.
which is fun. But in that duel, Catapult Turtle is a worthless piece of shit card, which I'm just getting bombarded with. I can't summon them because they're tribute monsters. I don't want to summon them because they're shit. But I'm like, and it's like the Castle of Illusions comes up, and in the anime it's a big fucking scary boss monster, and it came onto the field, and the next turn I just went, no. I just smited it and went on with my life. And that's a cool thing. Like it's the only issue now before they know the rules and they start playing more closely to the rules is that you have a lot of the spectacle in the first series, which is just lost because
Right.
like you can just get around it in weirdly shitty ways. One of them summoned his boss monster, and then I used fucking a card which lets you tribute their cards, and I just tributed it for shit. I just went, fuck you, fight. That's the only thing. Like you can go in expecting to have
wasn't-
the cool tiles.
I wasn't expecting you to have this sort of visceral reaction to the game.
I love Yu-Gi-Oh! But I only picked up on it in that duel.
Right.
Where I was like, why am I getting so many fucking catapult turtles? And I'm like, oh yeah, because in the show he uses it to destroy the castle, but here it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I think as you said, mileage may vary on this one. It depends
Yeah.
on how well you know the show, etc.
Exactly.
But it still sounds cool. I feel like it,
it's a very, very good Yu-Gi-Oh game. I
Yeah.
just wish it was something a
was a
little
little
bit
bit
more. Just like even a framing structure. Even if did you ever play Pokemon Stadium?
Yeah.
Where it has
yeah.
the gym leader castle and it has like the artwork, and you go, even if it
Yeah.
had that,
but this,
I would. It's literally just like list. You just
Yeah.
go
Right.
down, next one, down, next one,
Right.
down, next one. It just had some sort of
it's
presentation
got
there.
all the presentation of an Excel spreadsheet.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right.
Dragon Quest is it entertaining?
Oh my god. I genuinely I didn't know what to expect when I came into this because as I said, I've never played a Dragon Quest game before. I actually when it was like came through, I was like, I've never even heard of Dragon Quest before. And as I said, I didn't play it until very recently because of my change in job, and then I was really ill for a long time, and when I put it on, I was a little bit dreading it because it's a JRPG, and as much as I loved the last JRPG I played, I was a bit like, oh my god, okay. I fucking love this game so much. It is so good, and it is so, like, gripping and fun and, like, light, but also, like, just... It like, grabs your attention straight away, and it keeps your attention, which for me, by the way, doesn't happen ever. I put it on expecting literally just like, oh, I'll just give it a go. And I was on there for fucking ages. You just get so like enthralled by it all. It's beautifully done. Like the art style of it is beautiful. It's funny as fuck. It's so fucking funny that there's this like
funny.
It's deliberately funny because there's all these villagers who, as you said earlier, look goofy as shit always.
What are their
anyway.
accents like?
They're fucking West Country.
It's beautiful.
And
I love it.
When he started talking in the air, he picks up the infant, and I can't do the accent. I'm not going to do the accent.
Go for it.
You know, I go,
Go for it.
come here, little one. Like, you know, like,
Yuck.
and I literally laughed out loud because I was like, what? I was used to playing the last JRPG I played was in Japanese, so I burst out fucking laughing because they're all fucking West Country and like exaggerated West Country as well. And I could rave about this for days. I just think it is like, it's so funny. It's so much fun. The combat in it is like, it's turn-based. It's super easy to get to grips with. It moves along like at a pace as well that doesn't feel like you're slogging. It feels like you're moving on constantly making progress, which for me is like a big thing. Because if I'm not making progress, I'm not going to pay attention to it. It's a game that has held my attention from the minute I put it on to the minute I turned it off, which is unusual for me.
I do like a Dragon Quest. Like you find their big comparators like Dragon Quest against Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy has like spectacular action and you'll be on the edge of your fucking seat like while you're playing it. I just find a Dragon Quest is like cozy.
It's a bit chill.
You
so
you
nice.
sink into it. They're so cute.
It played well to me as well because like the first thing I said to Josh was like this, and I think I said it in the group chat as well. I was like, this feels very Pokemon-y in that like you walk along and you talk to people and like some people will give you things to do and some people will just say random things to you and like you can like the monsters are like just randomly things that you will like come across in the grass and like
slimes.
So, the slimes. You should have seen Josh's face when you first saw the slime.
I've seen the slimes before because what I saw was like, this reminds me of. I saw some PS plates which were the slimes, which just blue with just the face on them.
I like that.
But and this like immediately as well, I will say there's like a variation in enemies because for a while I did think like, oh my god, is this literally just going to be a game about fighting these fucking blue bobs? But like literally like 2 minutes later they bring in new things, they bring in new areas. It's fucking great.
What this is really interesting with you, Karis, because and this isn't to be dismissive or anything on those lines, but there are JRPGs. There are two lines, as you said, Darren. There's the Final Fantasy ones. There's the ones that are a bit more maybe. I'd even put potentially, Octopath in there, which aren't quite as cute and cozy. There's a bit more serious edge to it. And then you've got the ones which are your Pokemons, are your Dragon Quest, and they do very much live side by side running along. And this is a world that you haven't really explored, I would say. So you're now getting that like this is a brand new experience. I remember having that with the first one. I don't know how, and this is not me busy kicking it whilst there. I don't know how much it reflects on the game as a whole, or it's just your first experience in this world again. Not to say that it's a bad game.
I always like the idea of Dragon Quest because, of course, like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy emerged around the same time. I think the first ones are quite sort of similar in sort of structure.
Yeah.
And then at one point, Final Fantasy went, I'm going to go off and be a serious game now. Dragon Quest's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue being adorable.
Yeah. No, I cannot speak highly enough of it. I've really enjoyed it.
I've played a lot of Dragon Quest recently. I've been playing the Dragon Quest Dynasty Warriors style game.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Dragon Quest Heroes. That game's fucking great. Highly recommend.
In fact, I liked it so much that I have openly said that Darren is not allowed to take it home today.
Yeah, no, and that's I get that. I think, and from watching it, I'm like, this is nice, this is cute, this is fun. I struggle with those games, like those ones. Because you go, and I think they're like the Ni no Kunis.
Yeah,
that's the same sort of thing. I really like a Ni no Kuni, but I've struggled to spend long periods of time with them. I feel like I'm not being active enough in them. I feel like there's just not quite. As I said, going off and talking to people, but I feel like because it's like this is a gentle pace for you not to be overly taxed.
Yeah.
It's still, you got to work it out, you still got to plan your things. As you said, the combat's nice in introduction. I think that's the best thing about turn-based.
Yeah.
Anyone can do a turn-based combat game. but very few can master them
Yes.
perfectly. And this Dragon Quest doesn't punish you for it at this stage. It will do later,
Yeah.
because they always do. But what I saw of it, it looked like a really nice game.
I find these games rarely have hooks is the problem. Like a Final Fantasy will have, like, for example, the 7 remake or otherwise has like the you go and blow up the reactor at the start of 7. It's a big like hook. And Octopath, you have your 8 stories, and everyone starts with like a big event, a big hook event to sort of latch you in. And these ones feel a bit more like they just sort of
here you go.
ease you into the world, and the hook comes like 6 hours in.
Yeah.
So you have to sit down with it and go,
You've now been thrown in the dungeon, or what? You're probably
that's the hook.
That's the hook. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had to like
Get there.
peacefully sort of meander your way there, which is the right.
I mean, the thing is, for me, you know, that's exactly what I wanted. It was really
like,
nice, really cute up until.
I'll be honest. I played a bit of this game and I didn't get this far for that reason. I got about halfway to that point and went, "This seems like a really good game. I'll enjoy in like 6 months."
Yeah.
It's one of them. I think I played it for the freebies episode, and I was just like, I will very happily get back to this.
Yeah.
That's cool. Last game then, Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's a Yakuza game. How can this not be fucking entertaining? As I said, you start off, I mean, the opening scene is brilliant because it's got this whole thing about a child. Well, I say brilliant. There's this child that's like on stage being an actor. The mum's an abusive drunk, and she's scarred his face already, and he's like real harrowing. Then he goes out with this man and he goes, you know, we'll cheat for the night. We'll spend some money. You can't live in your pocket. They go off to have Peking duck, and it's this kid's first thing, and the kid's like 14 or something.
Yeah.
And he goes to the bathroom, and then his dad is shot, and you see it, and then he goes transformed, and now he's the head of this fucking Yakuza family. You're like, oh, he's got a dark, twisted path. It explains how he got here. Then 3 seconds later, you're running down the street in a pink suit, being called a cum stain, chasing this guy, to then beat him up because he's been selling porn to kids.
Yeah.
But he's been calling it uncensored porn, but it actually is animal porn. And he goes, "There's nothing wrong with fucking animals, dude." He goes, "Yeah, the issue is that you call it uncensored." And it's like,
Oh my God.
It's like, what's going on here? And then you beat the living shit out of it, give the money back to the kids, and then you have to go off and find a drunk woman, and then suddenly you're taking the rap for murder.
Yep.
And it's like, where am I fucking going with this? And it's Yakuza. So it's all this crazy bombastic thing. The side stories are insane. You find weapons where you're pulling fucking bats out the ground like Excalibur, but they're actually barbed bats, and then you think you're in a game. Who's that, Sujukamon or something like that? You have to collect all the enemies in the game. You have like you're collecting Pokemon. They have done so much referencing, so much into it. They've done it completely differently. As I said earlier, they've put it into a new place. But at no point do you go, this doesn't feel like a Yakuza game. You still go, this feels like a Yakuza game. It'd be nice to see Kiryu, but I really like this new guy. Like, he's like his own character. They have really gone, hey, let's make this, I wouldn't say cutesy like Dragon Quest, but they've made it less serious.
Yeah, it's a lot more sort of, Kiryu is famous for having the fucking stone face. And they sort of went in the far other direction with it. Let's just have someone who's a bit fun, a bit sort of goofy.
He genuinely is insane. I love Kasuga. He's just brilliant. And then you build at your party and you meet all these great characters. We said Nawa's great, but every person you meet, you go, like them, I like them. You got pound mates where you fight people and then you can hire them to come and fight your battles for you.
Oh my god!
Like almost like Pokemon again, but they call pound mates. You pay for them to come. It's so weird, and there are collectibles again. I'm trying to remember what the collectibles were in this one actually. Because then normally in Yakuza games they're like, I'll find all your cool girl cards on the ground. Whilst this one is not as I wouldn't say it's not as seedy, but it just feels a little. I mean, you work out of a soap land. You work out of basically a brothel. Yeah. So like, it is still.
I know the statues you take pictures of, but I can't think what other collectibles there are.
It's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
You go into it. You go, I'm going to do this. And what's really nice about this, which I think is different to the other Yakuza games, if you are a trophy hunter, this doesn't overwhelm you as much. Now, the reason I say that is because most Yakuza games, you have to then go through on the hardest difficulty. You can't really do a clean-up after as well as this goes. Play the game how you want to, then you get to, I think it's premium version they do, which is like the post-game. And you can go off and collect all your stuff, do all your clean-up, grab all your side stories. None of them have disappeared because you can change the time. You're like, oh, thank you, Yakuza, for being so considerate this time. And it feels like a more considerate, like, I wouldn't say introductory, but it feels like this is more approachable than the mainline Yakuzas.
Yeah.
Even in Judgments, I'd say this is almost more introductory, whilst that Judgment is like, do you want to play Big Boy Yakuza? This is the introduction. Whilst this goes, hey, let's give you an idea of what we can do.
It feels like it's starting something altogether new.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a great time with it. Like, I've played it. This is the second time I went back into it. I started again a couple of days ago just to get some more. Get familiar with it again, and I had a lovely time when I was playing it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like, I only have a couple things I would say against it.
Go for it.
Is that I feel like as much as I love Ichiban,
Yeah.
I find part of like the appeal of Yakuza is the angry stone-faced man doing silly things.
Yeah, I get that.
And you lose part of that when the man himself is silly. And to be fair, in response to that, it makes the events sillier.
Yeah, it does. But then there are serious events in here.
Yeah.
But there are serious events, and there are side stories where they are so peculiar that they almost make them darker. I think the side stories in this some of them are more serious.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the persimmon tree?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a really nice one where you're fighting things, but like the actual and it's almost like they're trying to ground this man, whilst the other Yakuza games are like, let's make a bit of brevity in this guy's life. You know what I mean?
I think this one is more of a story of like how he maintains that personality throughout the terrible shit that's happened.
Because he's had a horrible life.
Yeah.
It's like he works out how to put a smile on his face. Maybe things aren't all that bad.
Whereas Kiryu is just a stone-faced man who punches people.
Yeah.
That's his entire arc.
Yeah.
For every game.
Yes.
He's often, the arc is that he's given a child or young woman to look after against like the damnation of the Yakuza.
Yeah.
And he does that for like 5 games.
7. Really? It's basically in all the Yakuza games.
I wouldn't say he's given that person in 0. I'd say that's more Majima's deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm trying to remember what it is. Yes. Trophy-wise, it is a bit more simple.
I think at the end of the game,
you do have to grind half your life away to do the last dungeon.
I mean, I haven't.
Shout out to the first ever episode of this podcast where I talked shit about that dungeon.
Yes, you did.
And it's just because I was approaching it wrong, basically.
I think this is a lot of fun, a lot of silly fun. I'm really, really for this game. You know what I mean? Like I know you've platinumed it, Darren.
I have, yeah.
And whenever I look at stuff and the side stories are just amazing, and I think they are always the highlight in a Yakuza game. But I didn't find at any point in this dragging or going, God, this is
No.
dour.
As I say, the only other thing I'd say is I feel like maybe this one throws slightly too much at you. Is the only thing I think about it.
I think
0 has a lot of shit going on, but it's much easier, I feel, to ignore it.
This game I think is the opposite of Dragon Quest, where Dragon Quest is like, hey, have this nice chill journey, doing all this turn-based stuff, whilst this goes, here's everything you could possibly want to do at once.
Yeah.
Go for it.
This is like, here's the challenges list, here's the Pokemon thing, here's can collecting, here's the kart racing, here's the business simulator where you run the stock market essentially.
Here's go get yourself some jobs and different things.
All the different jobs you can get to. To be fair, the job system is inspired by Dragon Quest. It's a Dragon Quest thing.
I'll be honest,
which
that
is
sounds like
cute.
my boy's fucking nightmare. That sounds like I just
The
wouldn't...
job one is cute for its thematic things it does. I like the one where you, as a chef, get the flamethrower.
Yes.
So that's a lot of fun. Or Namba the homeless man has an attack where he essentially throws pigeons at people.
Oh, nice.
It's my favourite attack in the game.
The can collecting thing is like one location. You can go, right, you can just run this thing over and over again.
You go there and do it over
again. Ignore it. It's entirely up to you. It's just a good way for you to grind some sort of extra stuff.
Yeah.
And like the studio one, you aren't really going out of your way to collect them. You just fight people and it collects them in this sort of Pokedex for you. There is a lot there.
The equivalent I think about is in 0, you have the pocket racers.
Yeah.
And you can go through the entire game and not do the pocket races.
Yeah.
And this feels a lot more like I had a game in mind and I've immediately fucking forgotten it, which is a shame. Where it has like chapter by chapter and it will go, for this chapter, here's the minigame we're going to introduce you to.
Yeah.
For this chapter, here's the minigame we're going to introduce you to. For this chapter, and it just keeps stacking and stacking. There were points towards the end where I was like, right, which of like the 17 things do I now have to go and do?
I think the difference when I played it is that I went, oh cool, I can do can collect now. I'm gonna just complete.
Just
this
do
now.
can collect,
and that's what I did. I went, I complete this. Cool. On to the next thing. I had a good time playing that can collecting because it took me about 40 minutes in game, and I beaten all the mini story for it. And I was like, cool, and move on. But I can see.
I still, despite that, I love it. I think it's a great game.
What were people voting for? Is the question.
Oh, I don't know. Not Yu-Gi-Oh.
I vote for Yakuza personally. I think Yakuza, you can't go wrong with for entertainment.
What do you vote for?
Oh, it's hard because I would really like a point. But I love this game so much.
I think it's different though. Is what game would you have most fun with? Because I think both of these games are.
But I just established that I would not have fun.
No. This is more for Darren because I think these games are both wildly entertaining in their own rights. It's the argument we had with we go Ni no Kuni being the most entertaining game of the 8 because it's so cute.
Yeah.
But realistically, I would rather sit down with Yakuza than I would do with Dragon Quest. Although I see the appeal for it. It's just...
In my mind, I watched make the argument that, I played a bit of Dragon Quest and went, I will get back to this. But I did the same fucking thing with Yakuza.
But then you did
I played the opening act and I went, okay, I'll get back to this. But that's because I got 2 games for my birthday year and I blitzed the other one in between.
Don't give the points to Yakuza. You know it's going to... Darren, do you know what Darren's doing now? So Darren in his head is like, I don't have a play of the game for this next one. So if I don't give myself the Dragon Quest points here, I can't win the episode.
No, the argument the argument was, I think Keras felt more positively about the game.
Yeah.
But I feel more positively about that game. But I don't know whether it's what I should be voting in relation to. Because technically, it sounds like Dragon Quest was found the most entertaining. But I personally find Yakuza more entertaining. And I don't know how to, separate that in my brain.
We can do a split point if you want to, Darren.
I don't know. It feels like a cop-out. But I don't know, that feels like the wrong decision, and that feels like the wrong decision.
The first wrong decision was Yakuza, second wrong decision was Dragon Quest.
I mean, they're both wrong decisions. Does it matter?
Fine, we'll give the points to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my god!
I will burn down this podcast if I give the points to Yu-Gi-Oh! On this one.
So what are you going for, Darren?
I'm gonna give
3,
the points
2,
to Yakuza.
1. Yakuza gets the points.
Yeah.
Yakuza's a point for everyone going into play the game.
Yeah.
Darren doesn't feel good about that.
I don't, because I think, based on the arguments we made, Dragon Quest was the stronger argument.
Yeah.
But I can't detach from the fact that I've played both and I enjoyed Yakuza more.
I think the arguments we had more for Yakuza is also you've played more of Yakuza than you have of Dragon Quest. You've got more of a background in that one. Whilst Dragon Quest, I've got a passing pie and you've got a passing look in.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to...
I enjoyed what I played of it, but I haven't played enough.
It's cool.
Yeah. So there's a point to each of us.
Yeah.
Now moving into the final one, which is play of the game.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Darren, do you want to go first?
I mean, I've basically already said my play of the game.
Oh, was it?
I think I said it in
Was it the...
entertaining. It was the reverse duel, where I was like, oh, I'll get Exodia. This will be fucking easy. And honestly, I had 4 parts of him in my fucking opening hand. And I spent the rest of the duel not being able to summon them because they'd get destroyed. So just playing the long form fucking stall game where I was like, oh, summon something so it will sit there. And I'll play mirror forces and trap holes and Swords of Revealing Light just to keep him away while I draw 1 card at a fucking time, hoping for it. And I think I had it was 10 from the bottom. So I had 4 of them in the first 5 and one was 10 from the bottom. And I just had to spend the entire game going... Get fucked to every other card in the deck, just until I found the last piece, and then you win automatically. And then I go into the reverse duel, and I'm like, I reckon I can get this because Kaiba's got some good cards, so I can get a Blue Eyes out. I can, get a couple good cards out, get some trap cards going, and I can win this. I reckon. And I got a Blue Eyes out, and immediately got mirror forced and died. And then I spent the next 3 minutes basically watching him play Yu-Gi-Oh! By himself as he just drew cards repeatedly until he got all the parts and then won. Yeah. And I was like, what? Are you fucking... There's a great fucking video on a similar thing. There's a guy in a later duel that has a fake Exodia.
Right.
And it's a guy who's playing it. He goes into that duel and he's like, right, let's fucking go. Let's fucking do it. And the opponent goes first. And he draws his opening hand. He plays Pot of Greed. He draws 2 more cards. He plays Pot of Greed. He draws 2 more cards. Exodia. And I was like, what?
It was like nothing.
And that's how I felt, except I played the first minute of the duel. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I'm getting a fucking upper hand here. And then he was like, spell. Oh, I drew a normal monster. 3 cards. I was like,
Fuck me then.
Can I play? Please?
This is the best thing about a game, not being able to play it.
Like, the funny context of that is I played this in a hotel room after being like a business conference all day. So I'm like, I'll just settle into with some Yu-Gi-Oh! That'll keep my brain engaged. My partner's going to call me, but she's not going to call me until like midnight, so I'll keep my brain engaged for a bit. And I'm just sat here half asleep as the game's like...
Nothing for you, nothing
play
for
this up, I'm like, please.
Good.
Help me to help you. Please.
Oh.
It was a very silly time.
Oh, lovely.
I can go next, or do you want to go
I
next?
don't mind going next. I don't mind. Oh, so...
Darren, who do you want to go next? You can make a choice.
Yeah, Kara's gone.
All right. I was between two.
You sounded so excited, so...
I was between two, but this one, it did audibly make me laugh. So there's a bit... This is the most recent thing I've played on it, actually, and it did make me fucking howl, right? So... There's a bit where you get thrown in the dungeon and you meet this other guy who's been thrown in there, and he's like,
Oh, it is the start of a D&D quest.
And he's a bit confrontational with you at first, but then you prove to him that you are the luminary, and he's like, listen, we can get out of here. I have a thing we need to do. I've dug a hole. Like, we're going to get out of here. But you need to stick with me. So you like follow him around, and you're sneaking around guards, and you have to fight a couple of them. And then eventually you get to this place, and you go back and you go down the hole, and you're walking through, and it's all very like, it is very D&D. You're going through a cave, and you're talking to each other, you're getting to know each other, and you wander upon a dragon's lair. And you wake up the dragon, right? So immediately I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to fucking fight a dragon. I'm like level 5 at this point. Like, no way. So he makes this noise and blah, blah, blah. And the other guy you've met is like, we can't fight this or we'll die. And I'm like, no shit. Okay. So he's like, we have to run. So it's almost like, the Crash Bandicoot levels.
Oh my God.
Where you run and then
cool.
drag. So immediately I'm like panicking because I'm like, these are the ones I'm worst at in Crash Bandicoot anyway, right? So we're running, but everything seems really simple. Like, you're not really dodging much or anything. So I was like, okay, I got this. And then it zooms out and the dragon's not there. And it stops because you go off this tiny ledge, like a step, right? And this guy turns to you and goes, well, that was easier than I thought. And this dragon just fucking walks up behind you like you thought, bitch. and immediately he was like, well, the dragon's not going to be able to get us down here. I was like, what the fucking, 20 centimeter step? The dragon's right fucking there. And out of nowhere, he's like, fuck, run! And I didn't have time to react. So I was like, it's fucking, nearly dropped my controller. This dragon's fucking 2 steps away from stomping on me because this cunt thought that a 20 centimeter step was going to protect us from the fucking 7-foot dragon. And it was
7 foot. It's not a very big dragon.
Listen, leave me alone. I have dyscalculia, and
You have what?
don't... Dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia?
Yes. That's what it's actually called.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Dyscalculia.
Discalcata. Yeah.
Yes.
And I can't measure things, which is good for you, so don't complain. We...
Can that be fucking play of the game?
But yeah, just basically, I just laughed because he thought this tiny step was going to protect us from this dragon, and that the dragon was going to look down and be like, huh? I can't get away from this.
It really is like, I can't see you, you can't see me logic.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
like, well, we're at a slightly different eye level now, so we are
safe and sound. The only other one that I was going to do, this is not my play of the game, but I for some reason, I don't know whether it's because of other games that I thought in order to destroy things, you would need to physically kick them. So I accidentally bumped into some pumpkins thinking like, oh, nothing's going to happen. These pumpkins fucking exploded everywhere. Like, they were all over the shop.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't do anything.
I hear that's how the band formed.
Yeah, smashing pumpkins.
Yeah.
Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I
By
proceeded
exploding.
to
They thought exploding pumpkins don't sound right.
to run into every pumpkin I could find because I thought it was funny.
I like that.
Yeah.
Put that guy out of business.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So I have to work out what side mission I thought was the best, because there's a lot there. I'm going to give you 2 that I thought were really funny.
Is it the one with the man babies?
That wasn't my play of the game, and it's hard to beat it.
So fucking weird.
A couple of ones that I enjoyed.
Oh god.
Before it was, I heard a cry for help from someone in the street. I wandered over to help, and there was a man hiding behind a corner. I start speaking to him to find out he's had an emergency family situation, but he was also needing to get some bubble bath, and it all broke up at once, and he left the house, and now all he has is him naked outside in some bubbles. So you have to try and direct the man to a shop so he can safely get dressed.
Yep.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
My silly time, yeah.
A naked man running around in bubbles. Second one that I want to also bring up is the crawfish that you find.
Yep. I can't remember its name.
Nancy.
Yes.
Nancy the crawfish.
Yeah.
You're walking around in like the homes area, you find this crawfish and you're like, oh, it's crawled out of the river, I'm just going to throw it back in there. You then find out that actually it was a pet belonging to someone, and she's really upset. So then you have to try and find this crawfish.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You eventually pick up a few and go, is this it? No, it's not it. You throw it back, and then you find the right one. You give it back to her, and you see that they've been caring for this crawfish like a baby. But the reason they've been caring for it is because they wanted to make the meat succulent and sweet, so they're getting ready to cook and eat this crawfish, which is really dark.
I'd forgotten that you throw it back and it's like, that was my crawfish.
That's my what? Like, what? I mean, you got the one where there's a random guy who just keeps pissing in the river, and you have to try and solve that. But they're all fun. The one that I'm going to talk about is the one that Darren's already mentioned, because you have this.
It's weird.
This is the one that I think sets people to go, I'm going to keep playing this game, or this is enough for me. You go along and you find a guy in the street being hassled for baby formula, like some milk that he's got.
Yeah.
And these guys are...
There's a shortage.
And there's a shortage, and basically they fight him, and you fight it, and they lose it. You then go, I'm going to have to go get this some more baby formula because of the situation. You're going off, you're doing it, you think it's because... He's got like a newborn at home or that sort of thing, because you hear crying, like baby crying. You
That's
go
correct.
off, you find the formula, you manage to bring it back, you go up to where this situation is, only to open the door and you get introduced to the Gondawara clan, who are a bunch of sub-Yakuza who are all sat in like a kid's playroom wearing just nappies, pretending to be babies whilst there's a woman dressed in like a mum outfit, and they want you to give them milk. Because you go there, you get pressured into joining in.
Oh no, no!
And you end up drinking the milk and dressed as a baby, and your passion stat goes up. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Thing is so weird.
Listen,
it takes a few steps to get there. You genuinely think that you're helping out this guy who's got a newborn baby, and because it was the moment I went, what?
The reveal when you walk into the room and it's grown men. There's no lead up to it.
There is. You have no idea that
it literally just like basically turns the camera and it's just grown men. What?
Just to give you an idea of what you find.
Oh my god!
It's great. It's so weird.
Wow. I mean, listen, I don't believe in king shaming, but I'm king shaming.
That's what it is. Yeah.
It's just one of those moments you go, what the fuck is going on?
One of the things you hang on to from a Yakuza game is the sub-stories.
Oh, the sub-stories are so good.
Oh my god.
But it made me go, what? It made me laugh. And the fact you could have the option to not take part, but if you choose not to, you still have to take part. Like, it's just like, you get dragged into it.
Why do you still have to take part?
Basically, it forces you into it, and you become friends with them, they become soundmates, so it helps you.
Someone worked very hard on those animations.
Yeah.
And you're going to see them.
Yeah. It was a weird situation, but yeah, that was my play of the game.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
There's a lot of good side stories. It could have been Nancy the crawfish.
Yeah.
That one was good too.
It could have been Bubble Man in clothes.
When you were talking about the pound mates, I was going to bring up Nancy the crawfish.
Yeah.
She is one of the better ones.
Because you get the crawfish because you save it.
Yeah.
She then becomes someone you can call up to help fight you.
I'm fairly certain from
crawfish?
that, don't you get one of the man babies as a pound mate?
Wait. The actual crawfish.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
it nips your enemy and deals poison damage.
Yeah, it's
very
actually,
good.
It's one of the best ones.
One of the best ones.
One of the best ones.
Shit.
It was like is it Yakuza where you've got the chicken that can help out?
Yeah, Nugget.
Yeah, which is basically like the best one you can do. Anyway,
Wow.
Playing the games. Where are we going, guys?
I know where my vote is going.
Is it for you?
No, it's going for the man babies because
That's fair.
took me.
My vote is going to be for Karis's because she brought us a Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I did.
She played Dragon Quest and brought us a Dragon Quest.
I did.
I mean,
I feel like can't be like to me. That's so like
Well, I'm voting for Yakuza because someone made a joke about my dick. So,
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm voting for myself.
I get a point. No.
I get a point.
Yep.
Which means I win the episode.
Lovely stuff.
I'm not getting a point in 2 ways now. I know this. I know this.
Nice.
I'm going to be denied point.
God, there's so much to cut from this episode.
I think we should keep it in.
So at the end of the first episode, the winner is me.
Yep.
Hooray! But we do want to hear from you guys to find out what you think should belong in the vault of those 3, I think, very strong games.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good opener.
I think they're going to have their own sort of like...
Better than Phobia, am I right?
Yeah.
But before we do all the thanks and everything like that, guys, what we need to do is pull what we're going to be doing for the next episode. So I will hand over to Darren and the random genre generator.
Okay. So we're starting to pull out some of the weirder ones because we built the full list and there are a lot of sort of straightforward categories and a lot of weird categories. And I like seeing some of the odd ones come out. And that's what we have for next time, which is augmented limbs.
Oh boy! Someone's playing Resident Evil 7 again! Hey!
Yeah, just to clarify, one of the rules is we cannot play the same game twice.
No. I know.
I think there's one game that I think is almost cheating in this category.
Okay.
I don't know if you agree with me. It's Deus... what's it?
Deus Ex.
Mankind Divided.
Yep.
Where he is all augmented. He's just basically...
He is nothing but augmented limbs.
But I think this could go lots of different ways.
Yeah.
You can look at potentially the character, you can look at the enemies, you can look at anything really for it. And augmented is such a loose word. It just needs to be changed. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mechanical arm.
Yeah.
It's just maybe some sort of ability with it as well.
Yeah, augmented, just sort of improved
If you
in
can pour
kind
some
of way.
juice on it and it like regrows and reattaches, then I'm just saying, okay, it's okay. Shout out to my man Ethan Winters, my man.
Can't wait for someone to buy me the Evil Dead game that I have just an axe, a saw on the end of my hand.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of options there. Should be interesting. I can't wait to see what you'll buy each other. And me to get a second point. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening to another episode. Do check us out on our socials at DiscountPod. That's with 2 C's. That's where we put all our information about the episodes up there. Also, you can check us out on our individual Instagrams, Discount Josh, Discount Keris, Discount Darren. As we said earlier, we do Twitch as well, which is where Keris is going to be doing her cosplay forfeit.
Yeah, boy.
But we do stream 3 times a week. On Mondays and Fridays, we do our legacy games, which at the point of this recording, I am playing Sekiro. I still haven't decided on how I'm going to say it. Darren is playing Kingdom Hearts 2, and Keris is playing Resident Evil 1. On Wednesdays, we do Vault games and episode games. So if you like the sound of any of these games, but you're not sure what it's like, you get to see us play the opening 2-3 hours of that game and give you an idea of what it feels like and what we experienced in a way. And also Vault. So I think this month is our first one from season 2. So we'll be getting some Dead Space.
Yeah!
So do check us out on there. That is Twitch, DiscountPod /DiscountPod. And then we put everything up on YouTube. So if you haven't missed any, you want to check anything out, check us out on YouTube at DiscountPod. It's literally youtube.com /@DiscountPod because they've now got handles in there.
Yeah.
But I think that's everything. Don't think anything else to say?
No.
Anything else anyone wants to say?
No, I think we're good.
No, nice measured response there from everyone. Thank you. And
we know Keris can't measure.
No, that's
so rude.
Yeah.
So, thank you for being our player pool, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.